What's going on, you guys? Alexo here again. Alright guys, so this video I'm going to be going ahead and returning to the video series I was doing where I go over the characters in which the order of they were released, and next on this list I have White Ichigo. But first guys, I'd like to address the fact that I haven't been making videos for about 12 days. Unfortunately, I hurt my hand, or my fingers, and it really hurt to actually pick up my phone and use my phone a lot, so I've been trying to avoid my phone, just been doing my dailies and getting off. I've actually missed a lot of time on my alt account because I've been trying to avoid that. So I do apologize. I'm feeling a lot better, so I will be actually doing a lot more content. Also, I've been on a little bit of a diet, so naturally your body is, it doesn't have the resources to burn, so it doesn't have the energy, so I've been really lethargic and tired and pretty much just going to work and sleeping for like a week straight. So anyways, guys, let's go ahead and hop into this video here. Once again, feel free to check the description below. I will have all the timestamps listed out. Feel free to hop around to wherever you'd like. But in this video, I'm going to be, going over Ichigo. First, I'm going to go over his kit. I'm going to be going over, him as a character. And then I will be going over his Warsouls. What Warsouls good on him, what Warsouls bad on him, or what Warsouls I recommend. Then I'll be testing him in some 6v6. And I will be going over him in 1v1. Unfortunately, I don't have any 1v1s available because 1v1 is not available. But I will be going over that as well. And then I'll also be doing a lot of team comps. I will be showing you guys several team comps you can actually run White Ichigo in, because he is very viable even in today. Up to date, he's still a really good unit. And he's a pretty good key in a lot of teams, so I will be going over several teams that you can use him in. And then to finish off the video, I will be going ahead and grading him in how I feel he does in 6v6 and 1v1. And I'll also be giving him a grade on how Oasis made him his kit according to his how he is in the anime or manga. So that'll be at the end of the video. But anyways, guys, once again, check the description below for all the timestamps and skip around to wherever you'd like. Unfortunately, this video is going to be pretty long, but it's going to be good, I promise. So let's go ahead and hop into it here. So we get him really early, so let's go over his bonds real quick. We get these two bonds immediately. HP and attack, we get those bonds immediately. Unfortunately, we won't be getting this bond for a while because Tensei's Getsu doesn't come out till way down the line. Also, I don't think we have Ishin yet, so probably won't have him either. However, he does have 2 attack bonds over here on the character side, which is pretty good. He has a 3-to-3 ratio, but these 2 attack bonds over here really helps out his attack a lot. Anyways, let's go ahead and hop into his kit here. Okay, so we're looking at his mastery skill. Deals damage to an enemy and grants a 50% chance of inflicting silence lasting 1 round on the target. Grants extra 10% skill damage to every stack of dot on the target and inflicts bleeding on the enemy for 2 rounds. So this is actually really, really good mastery skill. If you can put him on a team with a character like Nell, which obviously comes further down the line, but you get that early early dot of bleed, so this works pretty well. Also, his rage skill could give bleed as well. But anyways, the 50% chance of inflicting silence, I feel, is probably closer to like an 80% chance of silence. Almost every time I use his mastery skill, I inflict silence, so pretty good. And of course, it has the extra damage on the bleeding, so that's pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and check out his passive first, actually, before his rage. Attacks have a chance to bleed the target for 2 rounds. When battle begins, each alive enemy will provide 60 rage, so that is 360 rage as soon as the battle begins, which means he can rage first round. After the attack, if the target has a debuff that prevents them from taking action, he gains 200 rage. Alright, remember that, guys. After the attack. There is an order of operations in which things are done. And unfortunately, this is kind of finicky, so let's go ahead and check out his rage skill, and then I'll explain. I'll break down everything that happens in the order of operations in which it takes place. Deals damage to all enemies, grants a 25% chance of inflicting silence on the targets, and applies dual effect. In the next round, grants a 100% chance of launching a mastery skill. Okay, and any kind of debuffs, let's go ahead and come down here. The debuffs is stun, freeze, entangle, disorient, paralyze, taunt, and silence. Okay, so let's go over the order of operations now. So the way this works, and why Ichigo is a character that you can Rageloop with, and I will be doing some Rageloop demonstrations here in a minute. But let's go ahead and break this down first. Order of operations. So the way it works is he rages. As soon as he rages, he empties his rage. So he has 0 rage at that point. And then as soon as it goes off, it takes every character on the battlefield, enemy character that has a debuff, and then it'll give you that rage. You won't actually get the rage until after, but that's when it actually counts up the targets on the field with rage, and then it gives you the rage. And then the damage takes place, and then it applies the silence. So you will not be getting the silence buff. Or I'm sorry, you will not be getting these silences right here from his rage skill will not include or will not be included in the rage he gets back. So remember that, guys. This does not include the rage he gets back. So you want to try and have at least 5 targets on the field, because as soon as 5 targets are on the field with any kind of debuff, he gets enough rage back to rage again. So then he can rage loop until, I think, 6. As soon as he hits 6, he hits the max rage attacks in 1 turn, then he passes his turn. So with that being said, let's go ahead and check out some Warsouls here. So let's go ahead and go over some Warsouls. There are actually a lot of good Warsouls on him. I do suggest using pretty much just base damage Warsouls. You could use Wrath, pretty good, get some crit, get some damage out there. You could be using the Warsoul of Crit, that is pretty good as well, because you do like getting crit. Early game, you don't have a really high amount of crit, so you do want to get some crit on him. So Crit Warsoul is not a bad one to use at all. A lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, like to use Shattering on him. I do not suggest using Shattering, because Ichigo is a damage unit. He pumps out a lot of damage, especially if you can get that Rageloop. So if you use Shattering, that's just damage you're giving up essentially, or extra crit or crit damage, or this and that you're giving up just for effect accuracy. And remember that the silence doesn't take place in his first rage skill, so you want to actually get damage out, because Warsoul Shattering will affect the second rage, but at that point, he's already rage looping, so it doesn't matter. So I don't suggest using Shattering. A lot of people do like to use it, but if you're using him as a specifically silence unit, then yeah, toss Shattering on him. It'll help you out a lot. Okay, the other Warsouls I do think are not bad. You could use Warsoul the Eye, get some of that penetration. That is pretty good. I suggest... I'm sorry, you could also use this Warsoul as well. Candy Cane, pretty good. Merit Warsoul, you could use it on him. He does get low because he doesn't have too much HP, so let it help out. But the Warsoul I do like to use on him is the Fan Warsoul. Why? Because he rage loops. I can get him to rage loop pretty often. So let's check this out. Before using a rage attack, crit chance and crit strength are increased for 3 rounds. So if you rage multiple times, you just stack his crit and crit strength, which is pretty good. So if you get that loop, you can max out his crit strength and crit chance with this Warsoul. It's pretty nasty if you can get him to rage loop with this Warsoul. Okay, let's check out the other Warsouls. Okay, so let's go ahead and check these out here. You could use a bunch of different Warsouls here as well, actually. I guess Pacifism isn't really too bad on him. Culling isn't too bad on him if you can get him to Rage Loop, get the enemy's HP down lower than 45, so you can get that extra damage. Rage Warsoul's not bad because he's guaranteed that mastery skill. Any kind of support or buffing Warsoul, like Crescent, for example, is pretty good on him. Warsoul of Chaos, pretty good on him. You know, you steal that attack and defense, and you keep on stealing it each time you rage. Warsoul of Balance, not bad. Increase the rage damage, so that is pretty good as well. Rageclaw Warsoul, increase the stacks of bleed. That is actually not bad. Once again, Soaring, not bad. But the one Warsoul that I like to use on him the most is Follow-Up Warsoul, because he rage loops. So when using rage attacks, for every target critically hit, the damage of the next rage attack is increased by 5%, stacks up to 6 times, and, well, if you give him to Rageloop, he rages 6 times. So he caps out on both Warsouls on use, just amplifies his damage non-stop. So I do suggest the Follow-Up Warsoul as well if you have that one. Both are kind of event Warsouls, so people might not have them, but any of those other character Warsouls do work on him as well. Alright guys, let's go ahead and check out some team comps now. And there are, again, several team comps we could use on him. This team comp right here, I'm going to try to only go over characters that we have at this time. We don't have Ulquiorra at this time, so you might not be able to get Ulquiorra in there to get a Soul Haul, but if you do want to use a Soul Haul, you could use Ulquiorra Soul Haul. That would help out a bit, since I think that is one of the first Soul Halls you get in the game. Anyways, so this is pretty much just the basic, you know, Rageloop team comp. You have these 3 units early in the game. Another really good unit you could use, and I do suggest using here, is Yamamoto. So Yamamoto also procs a lot of debuffs on the enemy, so that'll work pretty well with him. If I were to use him here, I'd probably swap him out for Toshido. So you could use this team comp right here as well. I'm going to go ahead and leave Toshido in there, actually, because he is a bit more tanky than Yamamoto. Also, I should probably put the team in a decent order here. So I want to keep these characters like this because I want the tankier characters in the front row. You could also go like this as well. However, if you are a up-to-date character, you can also, or account, you could also put other characters like, you know, Sodeno in there, and any other good CC character you can go ahead and toss in there as well, and it'll work. Anyways, the next team comp I want to show you guys. Alright, so this is the next team comp. Again, you can swap out Yamamoto for either one of these 2 characters, but the way this team comp works is you get the early bleed with Nell, which is really, really nice as well. As a matter of fact, you could probably even just go like this, just so these 2 can proc the bleed effects from White Ichigo as well, so that's not a bad idea. But if we look at the Soul Hall of Nell over here, recover 150 rage after using a rage skill, so that'll also help out with trying to, you know, regen rage for the rage loop as well. So that is also not a bad, this is not a bad Soul Hall. I know it's a little bit later in the game, especially because you don't have these 2 units, but they do come not too soon after. So not too bad. And again, up here, I wanted to put some semi-tanky characters. All 3 of these are semi-tanky characters. You have Mayuri in there just to get some, you know, paralyzes off. And then these 2 are just really good CC units. Once again, you could toss in Yamamoto, one of those 2 slots. It'll work just as well. But there's some survivability because we have a Soul Hall in there. Alright, let's check out another team comp. Alright. Here we have the Rageloop team comp here. Okay, so the way it works is obviously CC, 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 and then hopefully we have at least 4 to 5 CCs out there on the battlefield. By CC, I mean crowd controls. So Ichigo can Rageloop, and if by some reason he doesn't have enough damage to actually kill the enemy team, then we have Tenses and Getsu, once again, a character that we will not be getting for a while. But then we have Tensei Getsu to finish everything off, and he gets the full benefits from all of the CCs on the battlefield as well. So he is a good unit to put in there and works pretty well. You could also use a Soul Hall with Tensei Getsu as well. So, also I do like to put Toshido here in the front row because when he uses his rage, it decreases the defense of the enemy. So you want to put him out there as well. He's not bad. You can also use a unit like Urahara here. He's a little tanky and he does have a little bit of CC as well. And if you're really late, then you could obviously use a unit like this. And the last team comp I want to go for is pretty much just this right here. You know, it's pretty much just the basic. But actually, let's go ahead and swap in a unit, a really early unit that we have here. And this right here, once again, is pretty much just the I'm going all in to try and kill you round one. And if you do not succeed on round one kill, then you lose. Once again, same thing, CC, and then hopefully there's enough on the field where you can Rageloop with white Ichigo. Once again, this is also a team comp as well that we can use. And all these units are already out by the time we have white Ichigo. If you're a little bit later of an account, or I'm sorry, you started really early, then obviously you can use, you know, Hyoden Maru, or any other character that's even better at CC or damage. So toss in those as well. Alright, let's go ahead and get into some battles here. Also, I forgot one more team that you can use here. And it's pretty much the same thing. Is, you know, you toss in there, you get the extra crit chance and crit strength with this. And if an enemy dies, you can get Aizen to go off, and then Aizen will pretty much just finish off the enemy as well. This, again, also very viable, especially if you can kill an enemy and get Aizen to go off. And also, once again, you get the extra crit chance and crit strength as well. So, very good. Or you could pretty much just swap out Aizen if you don't have Aizen for any other unit down here that you do have. Like, I don't know, what is a good unit people have? Rukia, she's really good. If you have Byakuya, you could toss in Byakuya. He's really good. Most people should have Nini, really good. And Nini will actually be really good because she gets rid of any CC on your team. So she is pretty good as well. Also, Lisa, you should have her around this time as well. You could also toss Lisa in there as well. And Byakuya, he also does some bleed. You could toss him in there. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to some battles. Alright, so let's go ahead and do this battle here. So you could actually put Ichigo in the rage in the first slot if you want to increase your rage and damage, but I'm just gonna go with Rukia for now. Alright, so as you saw, I reduced the enemy's defense, and then I also got 3 disorients. I got 3 freezes now, and now I'm going to get hopefully one more. Okay, sweet, I got a stun on Yoruichi. Now this doesn't matter at all. Oh, wow, there were actually double kills. Okay, so now I'm going to get the Rageloop for White Ichigo. That was 3.3 million damage, so this one should be more. 4.8 million. And if there were 6 targets alive, the next rage attack would probably do like 5 or 6 million damage, and then 7 or 8 million damage. It only scales up, and it keeps on scaling up. Alright, so this battle, let's go ahead and take on a more tanky team here. This is a pretty tanky team that we're going to take on here. Okay, so once again, first we have Rukia going off here, decreasing the enemy back row defense, increasing our crit chance and damage. Here we have, once again, reducing the defense of the enemy team. Hopefully we get some disorients off here. No disorients, but we did get 1 silence, which is pretty good. Here we got 2 freezes, and looks like we got a disorient off of one this time. Hopefully we get a stun. No stun. Hopefully we get 1 or 2 freezes here. Sweet, okay, so we have 4 units. So now we're going to get that Rageloop. 2.7 mil damage, this should be 3 mil. 4.3 mil, this should be 5 mil? 5 mil? And there's only 3 targets left, so it should probably be like 3 or 4 mil. 2.3 mil. Okay, and that, as you saw, was the Rageloop on full effect. Unfortunately, I think White Ichigo died just because the damage he was doing and the thorns on one of these characters out here. He straight up killed himself. That's actually pretty funny. That won't happen very often. Matter of fact, if he didn't have that Warsoul on there, probably would have killed him. But anyways, let's move on to another battle. Alright, let's go ahead and do one more battle here really quickly, and then we can go over the grades of the characters. Actually, no, I'll go ahead and go over his 1v1 now. So, his 1v1 isn't bad, especially because he has the dual effect on his rage, and he has a slight dual effect with the bleed, but on his mastery skill as well, which is guaranteed, and he again has the silence, which is pretty good as well. So he is pretty good in 1v1, especially early, but unfortunately, as more units come out in this game, he just doesn't hold up with the rest of the characters that are coming out. So once again, early game, he's pretty good, decent 1v1 unit, but as time goes on, he just doesn't have that oomph, he doesn't have that push anymore. So unfortunately, he's good early, but he falls off pretty late. So I don't really suggest using him 1v1 unless you get him really early. So, not bad. But anyways, as you can see, he raged a max here of, I believe, 6 times, and then he hit the cap, hard cap, and then he actually, or did he just, he might have just killed enough enemies so he couldn't rage anymore. So, but anyways, the cap is 6. He might have just hit the cap of rage return. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on here, guys. Alright, guys. So, let's go ahead and get into grades here and now. Alright. So, in 6v6, once again, early game, he is probably one of the best, if not the best, damaging units you get on release early game. Obviously, he comes second to all the event units, but early game, he is probably the best damaging unit we get early. So, really, really good with damage. He has a lot. He does a lot. He's the first character we get that can actually, Rageloop. He has a lot of control. He has some really good CC. He gets that silence, which is pretty good. He also procs bleeds as well. Early game, the bleeds don't really do too much because, your attack score isn't really too high, or your attack damage isn't really too high, so he doesn't get too much of a benefit from the bleed, but he does actually do quite a bit. And once again, he is relevant, even to today's standards. In today's teams, he is relevant. He could be used in many, and I mean many, team comps. So with that being said, in a 6v6, I probably have to give him an A. Maybe even closer to like an A+. Because he's just that good. He does a lot. He does a ton early if you can get him early when he releases to 5 stars, get his weapon. He does a ton for you, and you won't regret getting him to 5 star. Later, he does fall off a little bit, but because there are so many good units out, but nonetheless, he's still absolutely viable in pretty much all those team comps I showed you earlier. Absolutely still viable in later team comps, and his damage is still good. A lot of characters' damage falls off late. His damage keeps up. That's why you saw me wanting to use these Warsouls on him, because you could just amplify his damage even further. And once again, this does help as well. You can get the extra rage. But yeah, he's really good. I suggest getting him A+, A, somewhere around there. Very solid in 6v6. And 1v1, a little different. I'm gonna have to probably give him... I went over 1v1 during his 6v6 battle. So unfortunately, he's just too squishy, really, to do much in 1v1. If he gets hit once or twice, he just dies. And that's not really too good. You can toss on the Merit Warsoul, which will increase his, damage the lower he gets. Or if you have Sushi Warsoul, you could do that. That'll make him more tanky. But I don't really see anybody using those Warsouls on him, so in a 1v1 format, I'm gonna have to give him like a B-. I think a B is probably fair in the 1v1 format. He does have dual effect, which is really good. You do like dual a lot, but his damage just falls off in 1v1, and his tankiness, he's just not very tanky whatsoever, so I think a B is fair, maybe a B-. Alright, so now let's go ahead and talk about how he lines up according to, or I'm sorry, his kit according to the actual anime. So what we see here is, I'm not really a huge fan of his master skill. He does do the quick attacks, but one thing I really do like that he does in his battle, Berserk is what I'm referring to, the master skill, is he throws the Zanpakuto at Ichigo and it impales him. So that would be super cool if they actually implemented that into his actual, mastery skill, instead of, him doing just a ton of slashes. He threw his Zanpakuto at the enemy and it hit him. That would be super cool. I would like that a lot. But, mastery skill nonetheless. He does attack pretty quickly, so Berserk, not bad. And of course, that's kind of an Ichigo thing. Ichigo does a lot of attacks, so not really a super big fan of, the animation, how everything works with Berserk, but it's not bad. However, his rage skill, I'm actually fairly impressed with this. It took me a minute to actually remember what this was a reference to, but if you remember this little spot here, which we can actually watch really quickly here, what happens is he, goes to attack Ichigo, and then he actually uses this rage skill here, which, as you can see, the animation looks pretty darn similar to his actual rage skill. So I do gotta give props, because that was a pretty cool rage skill. I do like his rage skill a lot, especially early when there weren't too many really amazing looking rage skills. That one was pretty good. And once again, we have the passive here, which is Inner Hollow. I do like the thought of this, because of course it is a hollow, so I do like it. It's pretty good, it covers like his actual Inner Hollow. How that works with his actual passive and the description of how it works, and maybe not ideal. I mean, maybe you guys can let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this one, but just the passive being Inner Hollow, I do like that, because he is a hollow, of course. But I would be happy if they, because if you guys remember White Ichigo's speech on Instinct and the King and the Horse, I'm not sure if you guys remember that one. Really good speech. I suggest going back and watching it. But that would be cool if they maybe named this Instinct or something instead of Berserk, or even named it passive Instinct. Matter of fact, Instinct might actually go with this passive as well, so they can keep this picture, maybe even put a picture of a horse or something like that. That'd be pretty cool, and then name it Instinct. I think that would have been actually really, really cool. But anyways, you can't hate on what they did. They did a pretty good job, especially on the rage skill. I do like that a lot as well. So, let's go ahead and give it a B+, A-. I think that's pretty solid. It's a pretty solid grade. But anyways, guys, I think that is actually going to do it right there for this video. the next video I have coming out is we swap over to Bird, and we go straight to my favorite character in the game, Ulquiorra here. Next we have Ulquiorra coming up. We're going to be covering him in the next video. Probably look forward to that one coming out in the next couple days, probably soon. Hopefully I can get back on it and we can get this done. But nonetheless, guys, that's actually going to do it for this one. If you guys haven't already subscribed, feel free to smash the subscribe button. I will be going over all the characters, or at least I will try to. And yeah, keep your eyes open for that one. If you guys enjoy this content, hit that like button as well. Questions, comments, concerns, hit me up in the comments section or join my Discord, which I talked about earlier. And guys, that's going to do it for this one, and I will catch y'all on the